you know that Listing Booster has been completely regutted, reformatted, and it's an absolutely new product reflecting the 21st century. You ought to check it out even if you haven't before. It's a great way for loan officers to work with real estate agent partners because last I checked, those rate and term refinances, they no longer exist. You need to have great referral partners, so help them so they can help you. Listing Booster, we have webinars on Tuesday for loan officers and Thursdays for real estate agents. Check this thing out, it's killer. Just click this banner right over there. So an interesting turn of events. The CFPB is going after junk fees and they're looking for all of our collective input. Now, the numbers I'm going to tell you were completely missed by my staff, meaning when I asked them what they thought the actual cost of some of these junk fees were, they all lowballed everything. So what are junk fees? Well, they're precisely that. They're junk. They're also referred to like as nuisance fees. These include overdraft fees, which, by the way, did you know, here's one of them right now, did you know with overdraft fees in 2019, bank revenue from overdraft fees, non-sufficient fund fees surpassed, get this, $15 billion, and the average cost of an overdraft fee was between $30 to $35, meaning if you went and got yourself a Starbucks coffee, that coffee with an overdraft fee could cost you $38. Yikes. And get this, late fees for the likes of credit cards. These are penalties for not paying your bill by the due date and can be a major source of revenue for these banks and credit card companies. Of the $23.6 billion in fees charged by card issuers in 2019, $14 billion of those fees came from late fees alone. So between these two fees, banks made approximately $38 billion, all the while providing nothing in return to consumers. In their memo asking for your input, the CFPB discusses junk fees in the form of service charges that inflate like ticket prices, resort fees that increase the cost of hotel stays, mystery fees on phone and cable bills. You ever seen those? I see them all the time. Fees for late penalties, overdraft fees, return fees, using an out-of-town ATM network fee, money transfer fees, inactivity fees. And as I said, these fees have become so pervasive, even the smallest of purchases could end up costing people too much money. And of course, guess who this is hurting the most? You guessed it, the people who are using overdraft fees and late fees on a regular basis are oftentimes the underserved communities and those to the low to median income rungs on the socioeconomic scales. But in the mortgage and real estate space, this is where it really hits home, guys. What is a processing fee, an admin fee, a doc prep fee, and the likes of all these mortgage-related fees referred to as? That's right, they're oftentimes referred to as junk fees. And now the CFPB is looking for input as to what to do about your mortgage company's junk fees. Quote, owning a home has historically been one of the best ways to build wealth. However, fees associated with closing on a home, such as document preparation or title insurance, can act as a significant barrier to families trying to buy a home or refinance and can significantly cut into the house's equity. And as a result, your company's junk fees are on the CFPB's chopping block as we sit here today. But here's the problem I have with this whole thing, guys. One, title insurance isn't truly a junk fee. It's not a lender fee, so they don't really know exactly what they're talking about. So even if the CFPB were to get junk fees out of the mortgage game, guess what? Those fees would simply be made up with a higher interest rate, where the rebate from that higher interest rate would essentially pay or make up for the lost junk fees that are no longer being charged. In short, whenever right now you hear about a no-fee loan, see, these low and no-fee loans, all those fees are just baked into a higher interest rate, and don't forget that one going forward on this. And finally, the St. Louis Fed chief is at it again. More aggressive than he was even last week when he was talking about multiple Fed rate hikes. See, here's how the whole thing goes. He's from St. Louis, so I guess he's probably a Bengals fan. See, because I'm thinking what happened is he was sitting around watching this game, saw his fellow Midwestern city having a championship taken away from him. Then it pissed him off so much when he came back to work on Monday, old Bullard came out and said, screw this whole thing. We're gonna hike rates by a full % the next time we do it. And if you think I'm lying, here's a quote. Our credibility is on the line here, he said, as he advocated for a rapid interest increase a full percentage point. Seriously, I wonder, had the Bengals won, you think this would have been the counsel that he gave everybody just yesterday? Hell, if the Bengals had won, he'd probably come back out and say, oh my God, we need to bring back quantitative easing and let's drop rates while we're at it. Who knows? Maybe it would, maybe it wouldn't. But here's the thing, your mortgage world with moves like this is transforming right before your eyes. If you don't adjust, you'll find yourself in the unenviable position of not recognizing an industry and without direction on what to do. And guys, this is happening.
You can dream about
And finally, Zillow just had their earnings report. Turns out the company lost $528 million last year. So guess what? They need to pivot. They need to reinvent themselves. So they announced just last week at their quarterly earnings report that the new and improved Zillow, you want to know? You want to know what it is? Well, they're referring to it as a super app. Quote, "We are focused on building a housing super app, building the Housing Super app, an integrated digital experience in which Zillow connects all the fragmented pieces of the moving process and brings them together into one transactional platform. The Housing Super app, according to investor slides filed with the Securities and Exchange Commission, will provide mortgage pre-approval, immersive shopping, facilitate in-person touring, and home financing." In short, it looks like Zillow is going to take another run at the mortgage industry. Now, you may remember that prior to their utter debacle in flipping houses, Zillow purchased a mortgage brokerage and were going to dominate the mortgage space. But it turns out mortgages were a little bit harder than they thought they were going to be. But you see, CEO Richard Barton, in his infinite wisdom, now has this whole mortgage thing figured out, guys. I wonder if it's going to be an algorithm. He seems to like those. Well, perhaps it might be time to short that Zillow stock once again.
Across the nation, dance to a different drum.